Do you notice a difference in my camera? I flipped it around. So ladder's on this side.
Looks the
This
same.
is the way it should be.
Looks the same.
Okay. Fair enough.
All good.
Keith Stewart, Read the Line, weekly show, weekly 30-minute ground and pound from the course, flexing that hat.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Right into it. Give me your thoughts. Shep.
The guys that are down here are here to compete. And Scottie's raising the bar, and everyone that comes in the press room talks about they have to work harder. So we got to love that. You know, we got to love that these guys are accepting the challenge and I guess doing their best.
Do you feel like Scheffler's he operates at this, well, obviously his ball striking is the best in the world. He's the best player in the world by far. And he operates in this Zen-like state. And it almost, I mean, Homa, Morikawa, Xander, I think all played to their ceiling last week. And the ceiling for Scheffler is just higher. And do you believe that he has any credible challengers now? Maybe Aberg, but is there anyone really? Rory's window's got to be just closing at this point, right?
His mental window is closed, I think.
Yeah.
But I think we're going back to like so back in the Tiger days, Tiger set the tone for the tournament. You know, nobody thought about their place in the ethos until Tiger got on the golf course and started to play, right? So it didn't matter whatever tournament it was, a major, Bay Hill, whatever it might be. And now they're starting to act the same way around Scottie. I'll figure out where I stand in this tournament when Scottie's done with the round or when Scottie's out on the golf course. And he's become the bar. You know, he's setting a very high bar. And can someone compete with him week in and week out? Yes, guys can get hot like Wyndham did for a couple of weeks. I think Xander can get hot. I think some of these guys, I think the kid can get hot for a little bit. But overall, it's going to be the same guy at the top week after week, which is a testament to how hard he works. I was chatting with, I said congratulations to Ted Scott on the practice putting green. And then we started chatting a little bit. And he's like, man, he goes, I'm so happy that the work paid off. And I said, well, it's obvious. I see you guys work. I'm out here all the time. I see you guys work really hard. And Scottie, as much as he's vanilla, behind the scenes, he's grinding. And people should know that. He's working hard. And he's causing these, Wyndham today got asked the question, which was a great Wyndham question, or question for Wyndham, which was, do you think there's a gap between you and Scottie?
Oh, God.
Yeah. And he took it a lot better than the Ryder Cup and Rory and everything. And he just said, yes. And I don't think it's as big as some people think it is, but yes, there's a gap and I need to work harder. And then somebody said, well, okay, follow up. What do you need to work on? But like, I think it's just going to be different people all the time that challenge, go for King of the Mountain. It's just not going to be like Xander every other week, every week that they play in a signature major that's going to be the guy. It's just going to be a different guy. But people will push him. But, I mean, Scottie just seems so comfortable.
Go talk about the quote from today when someone asked, are you here to compete?
So there was a lot of questions. Even you and I, we were texting back and forth. Is Scottie coming this week? Is Scottie coming this week? Because that would drastically change the landscape of the DFS world and the betting world for sure, to lose a favorite that's that strong. And yesterday afternoon, I sent out the tweet. I texted you. I said, hey, Ted Scott's here. So if Ted Scott's here, Scottie's coming. I mean, I know he had a pro-am tee time and everything, but there's changes happen all the time. The tour reacts to these people, and then, they do what they need to do. But Scottie shows up, and the media center says, did you ever think of not coming? Yeah, I thought of not coming, but Meredith's good. This is a signature event. I like to compete. And then, the next follow-up was, are you tired? Are you wore out? Or, what's the deal? And he's like, hey, listen, I just left my pregnant wife to come here and do my best. So let's get started. And basically, he just mic dropped the room to say, boys, I'm coming full throttle this week. And, don't hold back. On a side note, he did say that he did admit to the fact that on Sunday of the Masters, the neck issue is still an issue.
Okay.
So from an injury perspective, he was taped up. His routine warming up was all jammed up. He said my heart rate didn't get down to playing heart rate until I got to the first tee, because I had to get taped up twice. I got to get taped up. I warmed up. The tape came loose. I had to get taped up again in order to go out and play. So he's still dealing.
Sunday? This was Sunday?
Sunday, yeah. So he's
Can you
still
imagine
dealing.
if we knew that going into showdown of DraftKings? I mean, it changed everything.
Right.
It's that kink in the neck, but that he was getting treated on. I think it was the players.
Oh yeah. No, that's what the question was. It was like, hey, we heard this. Are you still dealing with the same problem from the players? And he said, yeah, it's the same spot on my neck that tends to get inflamed. And yes, and when I give it rest and everything, which I'll have it after this week, it'll go back to being good. But yeah, it could flare up. So I guess if you're saying there's a chance, he is battling an injury.
We'll talk about that transition then from Masters to signature event. And I guess there is an argument that there maybe should be a break, both for the players and just for the fans to sort of decompress from a major week. And now you got an elevated event. And I don't think we're all just sort of psychologically 100% invested as we were last week. But saying that, this event has produced some pretty random winners in recent past.
Sure.
Triple digits. Sink. CT Pan. The biggest one, Kadira. Brendan Grace. Is it a factor of catching guys for the Masters off of letdowns or a long week and getting them a little tired, and or plus the randomness and variance of putting being so important here? What is it that produces some very oddball winners here?
Well, unfortunately, it's not going to happen anymore because, we have signature last year, wasn't limited field, so maybe there was a chance last year. But the guys that are here this week, they're not going to be randoms that are going to win this thing. Like it's even the 69th guy in the field is Toasty. He's the one. He got paired by himself. I don't know who the 69th guy in the field is. The last man in.
Hello.
with the Aon and everything, right? But it's I mean, that guy is a known commodity. So Kadira was not.
Right.
Although, when you think about it, 9 of the last 10 winners of this thing played the Masters the week prior.
Yeah.
So they were also known too. So last week, the length combined with the experience combined with the skill it takes around the greens really limited it down to like 25 guys that could win the whole thing. We all knew that. Yeah. This week, it's just much more wide open because of the skill set that's required and the length issue. So I feel like the best way I can answer your question is that if there weren't just 69 guys here, I think that opportunity is available. But with just these 69 guys, I think it's – I mean, last week was tough, but there's going to be guys that weren't in the mix. Like let's say Fitzpatrick finished T22. He wasn't grinding. I mean, he was grinding. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't in the end there like Colin, trying to fight for his life. And he's probably ready to go, and he knows that this place is a good fit for him.
What happened last week to some of the guys that maybe we were looking at? Grillo, he's not an elite player, but we expect bad weeks from him. But like a Rahm, for instance, right?
So
that was
Grillo,
disappointing.
Yeah. So Grillo hadn't missed a cut all year. That was very odd. And he'd never missed a cut at Augusta. So I don't have an answer there. And not a guy that I have a connection to. The Rahm thing, Rahm really looked bothered all week. And it wasn't like the chip on the shoulder thing.
Health bothered or just attitude bothered?
Agitated, bothered, attitude, mental preparation. And I think that as much as Brooks came and won the PGA last year, as much as Bryson got in there in the mix for a day or so, as much as Cam Smith could top 10 Augusta in his sleep, you're going to go toe-to-toe with Scottie. You need to be firing on all cylinders. And Rahm had it blatantly shoved in his face, but you're not close. And this live thing, albeit you got 300 million or whatever the number is, who cares? But
it ain't helping you.
It's not helping him. It's certainly not helping DJ or Brooks. I think Bryson is just a kind of a different animal, but the consistency factor there, is probably why he fell off in the end. But Rahm was a total misfire. I raised my hand. I never considered for a minute that guy wouldn't be ready to go. And I threw this question at you just texting over the last couple of days, and I said to you, Matt, who do you think is the second best player in the world? We know who first is, right? And don't say Nelly Korda. Who's the second best male player in the world, right? And what's your answer to that question?
It should be Rahm. It should be Rahm.
It is Rahm, right?
Yeah.
It's Rahm, right? It's like if you look at the resume, you look at the skill set, it's Rahm, but Rahm didn't show up, and that's interesting. Who are you going to put in front of him? It's not going to be Rory. It's not going to be Xander.
No, Rory mentally broken, his mental window closing. I think ceilings on Xander. Cantlay I do like this week, but ceilings. I think the guy that could have a nice battle with Scottie for the next decent while is Aberg. I mean, think about this. You get a guy that's never been in a major before, and his first Masters, and nearly won the fucking thing. Can you imagine? I mean, it's absolutely no fluke at this point. If he has to prove it, he doesn't have to prove anything more to showcase his talent.
I don't know if I text this to you or to who, but over the weekend, somebody said something about Aberg to me, and I said, I'm betting him every day for the rest of my life until the number doesn't make sense. Yeah, every week. Because this kid, last time he was in the low country, he shot 122 on the weekend. 122. Yeah. 61. Now, I don't know how long you've been around golf, but anytime a guy ever shot below 63 in a tournament round, the next day you always took the over. It was impossible for them to rebound. And this is the only guy. Yeah. And the only guy that ever showed me anything different was Tiger, that could do back-to-back rounds that deep, right? And this kid did it. I mean, he's really impressive. Okay, so a rookie can't win at Augusta. Okay, well, the guy that just went in there and finished runner-up led the field in putting. Oh, you need to learn the greens and blah, blah, blah. Jack Nicklaus that. The guy led the field in putting. And the week before at Valero, he led the field in tee to green. So,
what can he do?
Plus, the only reason I won't say he's number 2 in the world is because you need a resume, right? You need a resume. But at the same time, this is amazing what we are witnessing in real time. This kid a year ago was wearing shorts and playing for Texas Tech and number 1 in PGA Tour U, and then now look what he's doing.
Yeah, and I talk about Scottie Scheffler operating in the Zen-like state. So does Aberg, and he's unflappable. He's so calm. He's so calm. And so there are no weaknesses in his game. We know his length. We know his ball striking.
Yeah,
He'll challenge every major. He'll challenge any course, any major, anywhere. I mean, and Scheffler needs that rival because Scheffler, you can say what you want about TV ratings. He isn't a super exciting number 1 golfer. You don't see him as this ferocious competitor. Yeah. He is. But Aberg versus him, that becomes a little more interesting, especially as you see Rory probably decline a little more.
Well, it's good that we have a number 1 player in the world. Wyndham talked about this today. It's great that we have Scottie because it gives us all a measuring stick with which to try to work harder all the time to catch him. And he goes, and that's good because sometimes you go win the US Open, it's like, now what do you need to work on? Right. But you always need to work on something because Scottie's just better at you than everything. Yeah. I mean, come on, last week he was 20th in the field in strokes gained approach at a second shot golf course. What are we talking about? Right. And he won the thing by 4 and he won it by 7 over the rest of the field.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even close.
It is nice having a clear number 1 golfer in the world. I will admit that.
It's awesome. Yeah. And it's good for the ladies game too, to have Nelly and what she's doing over there. And I mean, she's distanced herself just real quick. She's distanced herself more than Scottie has from the men. I mean, they're going in their first major of the year. They're out in Houston. Nelly is plus 550 or plus 500, depending on the book. The next player is plus 2,500. Yeah. It's 5x. That's crazy, right? Like, I mean, she's going for 5 in a row. Like, there's all it's great.
I mean, even this tournament, you have Scottie $2,000 more than the next person up. Rory, you'd probably say that's not even enough. And this is a signature event. It's like these guys should be close. There's never been anything so automatic since Tiger. Since like just lock Scottie and you'll be fine. Look at Dave Portnoy 4xing his money on 300 or whatever 100.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean. So there's that famous quote in the Tiger documentary that, was on HBO or whatever. And it certainly wasn't, blessed by the Woods family or whatever. Right. But there's that famous line in there with Armin Catane where he's like, everybody says, oh, I want Tiger. I want head to head with Tiger. And he says, he drops the F-bomb and he's like, the fuck do you do? Right. Like, you don't want any of this. And then they show like 2019, everybody dumping it in the water. Well, like, look at the guys that played with Scottie over the weekend. Eject, gone, right?
Gone.
Like my point earlier, everyone waits till Scottie starts to play. If it's Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, I don't know where I stand in the field until I see that guy come on and see what he's going to do.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't know where I stand on the weekend until that guy tees off, which is going to be late.
Yeah. That was one of the best lines. I replayed that so many times. Everyone always wanted to play Tiger. The fuck you do.
Yeah, and then they go like it was great production there too. They go right to Finau, dumps it. Molinari dumps it. Oh, Brooks Koepka, you're tough, dumps it. Ian Poulter, you like to run your mouth, dumps it. Right? Yeah. Like, come on. And so, me being we'll just say an older golf fan, right? So like I remember all of these things about Tiger in his prime, and it's. I'm not making a comparison, but Scottie is starting to build a resume where these guys have to pay attention to him, and that's what created that aura around Tiger that would help him win even more. And if Scottie continues to do this, it only works to his advantage, and we just have to find ways to get creative to try and make our money with or without him.
This course this week, it's links, but half of it or a good part of it is tree-lined parklands. It is, you've seen winners. We've talked about them. Furyk, Sinks, Kuchar, Brian Gay, even. Brian Gay, one of the best putters ever. Short game, positional. Sink came out of nowhere, won with his son in the bag. What are you thinking this week in terms of style? Is it just anything? Is it or what are some fundamentals that you think players probably are going to need to have?
So the distance factor widens the field, although the field is small. When you start to think about who you might take, middle of your board, chalk, bottom of the board. Okay, so that's the biggest difference from Augusta. Other than that, it is primarily the same skill set as last week. And I'll say that again because everyone's going to be like, Keith's losing his mind. He's been out on the road eating Chick-fil-A too much. But like, here's my point. The fairways are half as wide as Augusta National down here at the Heritage. Augusta's all about width and angles, right? So yeah, the fairways are twice as wide, but if you don't hit the right side of the fairway, like number 9, if you don't hit it down the right side of number 9, you can't approach that green because of the angle with which it sits, right? That's great design, right? And we'll let Andy talk about that for hours and hours, but that's the gist of it, right? So you have to hit this certain side of the fairway. Well, this week, it's just narrower, but it's the same idea. You have to hit that spot. You had to hit it last week. You have to hit it this week. And then hitting in, it's a greens and regulation contest here. Now, the greens are half as big, 3,700 square feet versus 6,400 square feet last week. But you can't play those entire greens at Augusta National. They all play about half as big when you're hitting in approach shots because you can't be on the wrong side of the green and try to two-putt. Right. You know that. Everybody knows that. So the greens and the approach, what's the approach length? Well, this week it's 175 to 200. What was it last week? Well, it was baked out. It was 175 to 200. It's the same guy. It's more uneven last week, but it's the same approach player. And then last week we talked a ton about the fact that it's the toughest around the green test on tour, right? Well, the last 10 winners that took home the trophy or the plaid jacket here, Stuart Plaid, mind you. All right. The last 10 guys, they gained over 3 strokes on the field, right? Around the green. So around the green matters this week. Maybe putting, if you're a really good putter like a Brian Gay, you could add a little because you could capitalize on the fact that you can make putts here, which you can't at Augusta as much because of the undulations. But really, those top 3 skills, hitting your spot off the tee, 175 to 200 greens in regulation, and then of course, the around the green acumen. Those things are just the same as last week. Do not be surprised if you see similar names up there in the top 10, top 20. Yeah. That's the way I built my card out.
Well, so carrying back the conversation from last week, because listen, if you find value at a major or at the Masters in a smaller field with the guys that are some of the top golfers in the world, Homa, Morikawa, for instance, who were low owned and value priced. And there's one more I'm missing who played well last week in the 8K range. They all of a sudden elevated their game unexpectedly, and I was kicking myself for not playing more because they're staring at you in the face at a huge steep discount and no one's playing them. But what does that carry this week, or is it disappointing that they didn't complete it, that they didn't close it out on Sunday?
Well, their drop-off, their fall from grace is much further than Scottie's, right? Because his floor is much higher. So Max Homa from floor to ceiling, or for Colin, from floor to ceiling is like 10 stories, right? The way he had been playing. So he went up to his ceiling for a week. Now, he has a lot more room to fall than, say, Scottie. I walked in last week in Morikawa, and one of the first things I saw was him on the practice putting green at Augusta National with an iPad out and a couple, new putters. And I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, I was like, this is the toughest putting week of the year, and this guy's tested putters with an iPad? And I know what his normal routine is, and I'm like, he's looking for a new putter. He is looking for a new tool with which to take this place on. So to me, right away, sometimes those things can skew you and make you wrong. You just end up being wrong, because he went and he outperformed what I saw. But more often than not, when you look at those things, you're gonna get the right plays, leverage aside or whatever. I mean, so you tweeted it out, right? Didn't Andy, who loves analytics, he said it. You tweeted it out. It was his quote. Yeah. He said, I would give up analytics for life if I could always be out there and watch. Well,
paddock betting. Yeah.
I built my whole business on being out here.
Yeah.
I'm not chasing followers on Twitter. I could care less, right? I'm out here trying to win, to do my best, to find the best information. And when I'm watching guys like, somebody like Justin Thomas, right? He's out. He's putting the mini driver in the bag this week. He's not putting the mini driver in the bag this week. Rory's doing the same thing. And why? Because the mini driver really fits this place. Well, this is the 1-year anniversary of Tommy Fleetwood using the mini driver and keeping it in his bag. So who would you favor, right? I would take the guy who's comfortable with that tool and knows it fits here rather than a guy that maybe throws it in this week for the first time and says, okay, I'm going to run with this thing because I like the way it performs so far, right? I mean, those little things are huge.
Fleetwood third last week, always performs well, or shows up in majors. I like
with a club caddy, Matt.
Yeah, exactly.
With a club caddy.
I wonder if he's asking himself if that's the issue. Here's the other one: is a guy that's frustrating because we like his talent set. We mentioned it last week. Is Cantlay? Cantlay. His course history here is the best in the field overall. But like Xander, difficult to close for him, but seemed to catch something last week going to a course where he has format. And someone mentioned the Discord, I think it was Kyle, said he looks all business. Well, who doesn't look all business? But at the same time, is there anyone that kind of wants to get back there more than Cantlay? Because I think he believes that he's one that can challenge Scheffler.
So I got to take that question in 2 parts. Is there anyone out there that wants to get
You
back
can take it
there
in max 3 parts, but
just
but
2?
no more.
Just 2.
Okay.
Is there anyone that wants to get back there more than JT? He shows it outwardly. Cantley does not. You can see him. You can see Cantley grinding. Is there anyone that wants to get back more than Jordan? He outwardly shows it. Okay.
Right.
Is there
I
anyone
don't
that
think
wants
they
to get?
can.
What's that?
I just don't think they can anymore.
Correct. Now Xander hasn't won in 2 years, or is it Cantley? Like he, FedEx Cup champion. I mean, this guy is a decorated professional. He's great. Has never really been the guy in a major. A lot of backdoor top tens, and overall, I think it's a tie between those two buddies of who wants to be number 2 in the world right now. Who really wants to be that guy? And it seemed to me in Q1 that Patrick was doing a lot of pack work, right? A lot of work outside the golf course. And these 100 days have started up with these 4 majors. And I saw a different Patrick. I thought I saw a different one at Bay Hill. I didn't see it at Sawgrass. And then, because we talked about this before Sawgrass, and I was like, yeah, no Cantley for me here, right? And then I definitely saw it at Augusta and I talked to Jamie, his coach, and, it's just like, and I don't say anything that's like, off brand or anything. It's just like, hey, how are we doing? And then, he knows what I do, and he'll be like, Keith, things are really good. Or he'll say, Keith, we're working. And that's all. And I don't put anyone in a bad spot. I just ask, right? And Patrick's he's in a good mind space right now. I was talking with Joe today about our Rangers, and, he's very happy about that. I'm very happy about us winning the President's Trophy. And, this is La Cava. And, by all intents and purposes, Patrick was hitting some putts on the putting green. He looked very comfortable, very happy in his new Adidas. He looks good to go. I think he loves this place. Yeah, I mean,
I can't believe you just drop a New York Rangers comment in this show.
Oh yeah.
You can't do that here.
Of course you can.
I hate the Rangers so much. Just to let you know. By the way, go Leafs go. Someone trolled me. Some Rangers slapwad fan signed me up for everything Rangers on my email address. So I get ticket notifications, I get merch notifications, and I can't unsubscribe because it keeps getting resubscribed. So that happened this morning. It was you.
You should keep an eye on me, my people.
So okay, eyeball. Outside the non-Scheffler sort of guys that you are thinking about this week, both for what you see on the ground, their form coming over from the Masters, their course history, and just like your overall eyeball test.
Well, we already talked about Fleetwood and the kid, so I like both of where they're at. I don't feel like there's a hangover
kid beating
there.
Aberg, right? You call Aberg the kid?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We both. Well, I liked the Irish Bear last week, right? And he did not putt well. What?
No, he sucked.
Shane.
Yes.
Well, no, but he hit the ball good. He if you go look back at his strokes gained, he hit the ball good. He lost like 7 strokes putting. He was awful on the greens. So he has great history here. He's still hitting the ball very well. So I go over and I watch him hit the ball. Looks great. Practice putting green. Looks comfortable.
Right.
He has good history here. I'm going to ride with that. I also like in that range. I mean, if you're saying that this week's all about driving, and I told you that Siwoo Kim has gained positively with the driver in his last 31 straight events, you'd say, okay, well, that's probably a good fit.
At a Pete Dye course, yes, I'm all in.
Right? So Siwoo, he's definitely on my card. I missed on Taylor Moore at Houston. I'm not going to miss with Taylor Moore here. That was the first time he really caught my eye was last year here. I watched his short game. I thought it was really, really sharp. He caught my attention. Then over the summer, he kind of faded. But I do like Taylor Moore as we start to get further down the board.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Remember the name you're going to say. But I think the most disappointing star player with highest expectations last week, I would say Lowry was disappointing, was Matsuyama. He's not in the field this week, but Hideki was that was tough.
Bad.
But then the other was Sam Burns, low price, low owned, great golfer, terrible Masters. Is there flop lag this week with Burns? Same price, low owned, less than 5%.
Oh, God. So the thing that gets Sam Burns in trouble is the driver, right? The other things that we need to do here, he'll be great. When he had those 4 straight top 10s back in January, February, he was hitting the driver as good as he's ever hit in his career. And I just don't see that right now. It's starting to become inconsistent again. So I have trouble saying yes to Sam Burns, just like I had trouble saying yes to Sam Burns last week. Everybody that follows this show, we've been doing it for like 6 straight weeks now, know that, sometimes I'm wrong, and I'll raise my hand and say I'm wrong. Like last week,
right.
I'm still pissed at myself because I put some money on Hideki, and I said this on the show. I said, when does Hideki play well? When you never see him coming. When does Hideki play awful? When we think he's the man. Well, everyone told him he was the man last week, and then where did he go? Full eject button. Gone, right? So I should have listened to myself. But as far as Sam Burns, he needs the driver this week. He's not the type of guy like a Tom Hoagie that can just like punch it down the fairway, put it in position, and then hit his irons close enough all the time. Sam Burns, that's just not his MO. And I would just, like, no offense to Zach Johnson, but like, why would you ever put Sam Burns in foursomes?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like when that pairing came out, you knew he lost in Rome. It's like you could not bet enough money on Europe. Like if that was our decision-making process, with all that we know about what goes on in the golf game right now and how these players are made up, if this is truly a week for putting the ball in play off the tee and not rattling it in the pines, then Sam Burns, that's why he's a low number.
That's Zach Johnson just needs to take a couple of weeks off here.
Oh, Jesus. Send him away. Enough.
Send him away. Like, just
away.
Own it, dude. It's 2024. There's cameras out there. We know what's going on. I don't even think he knows what social media is.
Don't even get me started. There's a note here. So this was I asked one of the guys in the media center to ask when Meredith's due date was.
Yeah.
And they came up with a creative way to come up with it. She's due at the end of the month. It's still 2 more weeks. Yeah. So it's their first child. If anyone out there has had a child, 9 times out of 10, the first child usually comes around the due date because the log flume hasn't been prepared yet, by the first sled. So like you have to, like, chances are, we really hope that mom and baby are healthy, that you probably won't get a super early baby, that Scottie will be fine this week. And then it'll probably happen, sometime between now and Wells. He didn't go to Wells last year. He took that was his signature. He took off last year, and he's going to roll into Valhalla probably. So I'm going to use that sled reference as the promotional piece for this video this week. No. Wipe that. No. If you do that, you will. Oh man. I'm
not. I won't.
I'm here talking to the boys here, the Run Pure boys here. These are my people here. These are the people that when I'm walking like Max Homa down inside the ropes or somebody's like, Keith, Run Pure. And I'm like, man.
Did they really?
Man, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Right?
We need to get
these are our fans. These are the people. This is it.
We need to get the Run Pure hat for you. The Masters Run Pure hat. Okay. So a little more down the board. Well, I've always associated the RBC sponsor narrative with better success here. Sometimes you see it in Canada, which I think the Canadian Open is a very big, good stop on the tour schedule now. A lot of energy. It's coming up in June. Great signature hole with a lot of fans.
Definitely.
Sorry, mini Waste Management. But I do feel there's a lift from some of these sponsored guys for RBC who feel like they have to perform for their brand, right? And this is a signature. This is an elevated event, and the tour obviously wants all these guys here, and they want all the RBC guys here because the tour cannot afford to lose another Honda or another
a double Honda. They have the Canadian and this one. It's
That's right.
One spot. It's 2.
That's right. So RBC throws a lot of weight around, I would imagine, in these brand sponsorship meetings.
Yeah.
you got Corey Connors, right? You got Nick Taylor. You got Mackenzie Hughes. You got Adam Svensson. All guys from the first eyeball. I was like, Hughes is mid 6K. He's a great golfer. I mean, he's great around the green. He's a great putter. He's playing well. Svensson played well in Florida on his final stop, I think, at the Valspar.
Yep.
Connors, he's a good player. I think Connors is in that sort of window. Is like, do we keep on chasing him when he doesn't win, at a great clip, and he hasn't finished out in a major. And the other one's Cam Young. RBC, Team RBC, who a lot of people like to win this week. Huh?
Sahith, too. He's another RBC guy.
Sam Burns.
Sam Burns, yeah. I think Cam Young is still okay. So we're basing the birth of young Scheffler on trends, right? Like we think she's due in 2 weeks, and the baby's going to come in 2 weeks. If you're betting Cam Young, the trend is the putter still doesn't work. So we need that to change in order for him to win. Can it change? Sure. His ball striking around here is great.
Plus, he makes some critical errors at very bad moments. I think he rinsed 1 on 11, maybe 2, but he went in the water twice that really put him out. And he can't recover with 8-foot putts for bogey or par.
No. Like I said, the same problem still exists. His ball striking is good. He will be around here. I mean, his last 8 majors, the guy's had 5 top 10s. He's built for major championships. He's built for tough, difficult ball striking golf courses. Unfortunately, the putter, it's just not to the level of which the rest of his game is at. So with his length not being as much of an advantage here, I think it kind of mitigates some of his strength. So there's a lot of guys whose floor gets raised to like a Cam Young type ball striking floor because they're that much better of a putter than him. So he kind of gets lost in the middle for me.
So dark horse for me, and we'll wrap this up, but dark horse for me in the Team RBC land is Svensson. I really like Hughes. Hughes popped out on the page for me immediately for the price and value alone. Winner Scheffler. Cantlay, I think, may give it a run. And I love Fleetwood.
Okay.
Where are you in the dark horse range?
And
Siwoo Kim could be a dark horse.
No, well, he's plus 3,500. He's not a dark horse. I'm a big fan of Adam Schenk this week. I think he's doing all the right things. Yeah. You got to remember 9 of the last 13 winners here at the Heritage finished top 10 or better prior to winning here at Valspar. Valspar is a huge comp here, and very similar skill set and everything. Taylor Moore, Schenk's at 100-1, so he's going to be down there probably in your 7K range. He's the type of guy. If you look at what he's been doing lately, it all kind of pans out. He's been hitting the ball. He's been doing Adam Schenk things. And what's Adam really good at? He's very accurate, and he's a good putter. I mean, the guy finished 9th on tour last year. A lot of people don't want to admit that to themselves, but he finished top 10 at Eastlake, which means he was 9th on tour, and he made a shitload of money. He had a bunch of runner-ups. He had a great year. He was 12th at the Masters. Adam Schenk was 12th at the Masters.
Yeah.
Okay. He played good at Valero
too. He seems to really flush those irons. He's got a really nice swing.
He is accurate. If there's one word I would use about him, it's funny because his last name is Schenk. But if there was a word I was going to use about him, I would say that he's just very accurate. Could he be a better or longer driver of the golf ball? Sure. Could he be a better iron player? Maybe hit it a little higher, maybe shape it a little better? Sure. But he's just super accurate. So when you say that a majority of the contest this week is accuracy, I feel like somebody like Adam Schenk, because he's in very, very good form, he's gaining strokes all over the place through his last couple of starts. He even played good at the Players. I mean, is Adam Schenk going to win the Players? No, but if a guy like that is top 30 there, I mean, that's a great week for him. For him to be 12th in his first Masters,
it's crazy.
That means that his year in 2023 wasn't necessarily his ceiling. he seems to be getting better. And he's an everyman golfer, so you love to root for that guy. And at 100-1, in the betting world, I think that is an opportunity. I mean, because everyone's going to be all over like Cam Davis and who else is in that area. And I just kind of like Taylor Moore, and I kind of like Adam Schenk in that land. And that's where my head's at as far as that goes. I mean, you want to keep it in play, and the putter just has to kind of work. I mean, Lucas Glover's down there. No, he's never sexy. You know what I mean? But over 4 rounds of ball striking, the guy will get you some points. Like that's the way like Schenk is, but Schenk's just a much better putter than a lot of guys. He's a good putter.
I like in that range Schenk. I like Brendan Todd, and one more who's been kind of absent for the last few weeks. Flusher Magoo, Tom Hoagie.
Oh,
he's back.
Have you looked at Read the Line?
Of course. I look at Read the Line every morning. 7 a.m.
Exactly. Right. With your coffee, with your Celsius. So I put Tom Hoagie back in the mix.
Vodka Red Bull.
Because for a top 30, because I feel like, I don't know that he could. So you need 20 birdies. Basically, the last 10 winners here average like 18.5 to 19 birdies en route to winning, right? So, yeah, you need some bogey avoidance, et cetera, et cetera. But
Hoagie will have that by Thursday afternoon.
Hoagie, can he score that much? He could, sure, yeah, in one round. But, like, over the course of 4 days with some of these other guys, like, is Tom Hoagie a good enough iron player alone just to be in the top 30? Absolutely, right? So –
Director of Fun Play of the Week is Adam Schenk, right?
Deep down there, yeah.
Sean Blake asked for your Director of Fun Play of the Week.
Oh yeah, the DOF is happy with the Purdue Boilermaker for sure.
DOF POW.
Yes. So so I had some fun with Scheffler and Nelly this week because you feel like in some respects they're just going to keep winning, and you want to learn how you can make some money off of these clowns. So. I use the clown word very out of respect, in case you're going to cut this and then put this out.
We're gonna cut this together about his wife's parachute shoot or whatever you called it.
I'm not saying it again.
Definitely called. Just to be clear, Keith Stewart called Scottie Scheffler a clown.
I don't know what's more red right now. The Stuart plaid behind me or your face?
Oh my God, I'm dying laughing.
I'm loving it. No. So Nelly's like plus 550. Scottie's plus 400. I parlayed them both. They're both going to win. It gets me 30-1.
I love it.
Your
team parlay.
That's it, man. I mean, they're going to win.
Yeah.
Nelly finished 3rd on that golf course last year, one shot out of a playoff, right? Like, I mean, what's going to stop the two of them? It's not going to be the baby. It's not going to be the baby.
That's what we say in the Discord sometimes, and Capwise just pointed it out. When a golfer's really tilting us, we say he belongs in a zoo for clowns.
Oh, wait. Oh, Pavon. Pavon looks good.
Yeah, Pavon.
Looks good. Do I look French? Right?
Stewart, no.
Plaid.
There
Stewart,
it is.
Plaid, right? I wore a skirt to my wedding, man. Right? Okay. I wore a kilt. So, Pavon looks good, or however you want to say it.
They've been replaying the same ad behind you for 47 minutes now, and I've just been it's been great. All right. Thanks, baby. Well, who wins? Well, Fleetwood? No. Who's your winner? Schenk? No.
I think Fleetwood Mac's all over the scene.
Fleetwood Max?
He's like the Mac Daddy.
Okay. I thought you said Fleetwood Max.
Yeah, Fleetwood Max, MAC.
Is that a band?
It's a band. Seriously. Come on. Like, what am I doing? Oh, God.
All right, brother.
I mean, pretty soon McAfee's going to hire us. This show's too good. It's
too good.
The rapport is too good.
You said there were some 6K guys you like. Someone just asked that question. Isaiah did. You're okay with Svensson. You said you loved Webb Simpson, right?
Well, Webb Simpson is quickly teaching us all what pack means, If you're on the pack, that means you pack and you go to every signature event. Imagine he's here and Hogard isn't. Ouch. Anyway,
so if you're on the player action committee, you will go to every signature event. Is that the deal?
I don't know.
How did he get here? Is he have like a?
He's a sponsor's invite.
That's it. Of course.
And
Webb's RBC. Webb is lead RBC.
And it's convenient that he won the COVID RBC, down here at Heritage. But overall, there was a pack meeting on Tuesday night. So in the 6K land, at a place like this, I'm still really impressed with Austin Eckroat. He continues to hit the ball very solidly. He's a good driver of the golf ball. Kid seems pretty unflappable. And I'm just trying to think about my notes here for a second. Our boy Putnam's back.
Yeah. He looked like value to me.
Putnam's back. And he's got a temperamental history here, but he's been really rolling the rock good. And man, if you could take Putnam and combine him with Svensson, you'd have yourself one hell of a golfer. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I saw Svensson with his putting coach yesterday. They look pretty happy. So there you go.
All right. Thanks, brother. I'll enjoy this week. Let's talk. Let's see in the Discord.
The Discord. I'm working my way in. It's
Thunderdome. Sign some hats for the fans if they yell your name out.
By all means, if you folks are at events, and I am too,
right.
Shout outs in the Discord. I'll see you.
Yeah. See it.
All right.
Peace and love. Keith will give you a free Masters hat if he sees you on the course.